This podcast is a part of the Podmania podcasting network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling. Hello guys and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly sort of audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom, right here on the Podmania Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined as ever by the Vegeta Mark himself, Chris O'Brien. Chris, how are you, my friend?
I'm hopped up on caffeine, and Vegeta versus Keno happened today. Nothing else happened today, Rob. Nothing is controversial is going on at all. Moving swiftly on.
Before we came on air, genuinely, obviously, peek behind the curtain, we were talking about the incident that Chris is referring to between Ospreay and B. And we were talking about it. I was like, I should probably mention to Chris that let's not talk about it. And then I was like, oh, it's gonna get brought up anyway, isn't it? It's gonna get it's really tasteless. It's awful. It's ruined what was a good match, and it was pointless. I think that's pretty much our stance on it in a nutshell, Chris.
Yeah, essentially, it's like it doesn't even further the story. Really, you can get over the story of Will Ospreay's a bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs without the domestic violence angle.
Effectively, what he's done here is, I want the championship so much I'm going to beat my girlfriend up.
But like those two things don't track. That's the thing. They don't track. It's like saying I'm really tired right now, so I'm going to
kick a dog.
Yeah, that's the thing. The two things don't connect.
No,
not
at all.
It's like I would really like a sandwich. I'm gonna go stab my brother. Like, it's not like, how did you get from A to B there, Billy? How did you get from A to B? It's ridiculous and tasteless, and I don't know who okayed it, but like whoever okayed it really needs to. It should be really worried for their fucking job right now. Jesus.
I didn't think Ospreay would be able to do anything this year that topped his Big Billy with the Big Willie t-shirt. But he's managed it. He's managed it with this. It's there's being heel, and then there's just, I think the Super J Cast put up that little screen grab of Shingo going, "Read the room, Will." And yeah, fucking hell, read the room, Will.
The general consensus used to be we should probably take Twitter off of Ospreay. We should probably just take everything off of it. He can't be trusted. Like, the man just can't be trusted with anything.
It's such a shame because he's so good in ring. I don't understand.
I'm past the point of giving a fuck about how good he is in ring. He's a fucking liability.
Anyway, this is a Stardom podcast. Let's talk about some other things. Chris, how have you been this last week and a bit?
But there was only one Vegeta match. That was quite hard for me. I actually, funny story. So, I occasionally, you know how like occasionally you'll not be asked to make lunch, so you think, fuck it, I'll just walk to the nearest supermarket. In my case, the Co-op, for a meal deal.
Well, isn't that the only supermarket close to where you live? It's the only shop you have.
We have an Asda, but like they don't do their meal deal shit. So I normally go to the Co-op. And so I went to the Co-op, and like from this Co-op, they do like this pasta. It's like pasta with pesto, mozzarella, and tomato, and it's lovely and great and green, and I really like it. And I went in like 2 or 3 times this week to get a meal deal because big sad, so I can't be asked making lunch. So I just walk up and get the meal deal, and it's not been there at all. So then I run up to the Co-op yesterday because my mum needs some stuff, so I went up to grab it for her. And what's there? I've already had my lunch. What's there? The fucking pasta. Fuck you, Co-op. Fuck you.
Has it been a really slow week, mate?
I've also been working on a video that no one's gonna watch, I guess, because no one who follows my fucking YouTube. Like it's genuinely a trend. If my thumbnail doesn't have a Puro star in it, it's not going to do very well. Like
I love the fact that we got less than 5 minutes into the podcast before you shield your own YouTube channel.
I haven't even said what the YouTube channel's called, Chris Brown on YouTube. But yeah, so it doesn't do as well. So, but it's about Ring of Honor. It's going to be about Ring of Honor. So it's just not going to do well. Because I think it's only me and Forrest Silver in the whole fucking wrestling YouTube space who gives half a fuck about Ring of Honor.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that, to be fair.
Which is ridiculous, because it's better than New Japan.
Fight
just
you.
Is.
Come at me.
No, seriously, fight me. It's better than New Japan. They haven't done anything morally reprehensible all year. 2019, on the other hand, a bit dicey.
I was just... it's morally wobbly ground.
Yeah, like 2019, a bit wobbly, but 2021, they might have changed. Wrestling's awful. Wrestling's just awful, isn't it? Fuck this, I'm off.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great landscape to be in. However, let's focus on the fucking positives.
Are you regretting asking me how I've been?
A little bit, mate. Yeah, it's more of just, a standalone question at the start of every podcast. Ask Chris how he is, and every single week I'm like, I wish I'd fucking asked now.
I mean, like, I can pretend. I can just say fine and pretend I don't have more complex feelings if you want me to be that little. If you want me to just be your little whore who says nothing. But, I feel things, Robert. I can't help it.
Right, okay, well, I'm glad we got that out of the way in a really awkward way. I feel things, Rob. Stop trying to silence me. So, just a quick apology. This podcast was supposed to be out Friday, but I've had a week. So, it's completely my fault. I apologise to everyone. I did put something on Discord and then realised this morning I didn't put anything on Twitter. So, again, I apologise. Just got a little bit on top of me. But I'm back. We're both back to talk all things Stardom as we are now on the road to Yokohama Cinderella Spring 2021. We've got a lot of things to talk about, got little bits of news here and there. We've got 3 shows to look at from the 7th, the 13th, and the 14th of March. And then we're going to have a little bit of a preview of some of the upcoming cards, the next Korakuen show on the 26th of March, both the day and night shows of the 28th in Osaka, and then the full card rundown of the big Yokohama Cinderella show, which Chris will be hearing for the first time live on air, which I'm very excited about, especially when he hears the running order.
Because we talked about it at fucking 1 a.m. last night, and I was like, okay, can you just tell me the card? I can't be asked Googling. And then you were like, no, I'm going to tell you live on the podcast. And I felt fucking compelled to not look it up, because otherwise I might annoy Rob and he'd shout at me. He's very mean behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen.
I am. It is true. It is true.
The amount of times my post office internet gets brought up is ridiculous.
That's because the post... Before I met you, Chris, genuinely, I didn't know the post office did internet. And to be honest, judging from your internet standard, they don't really.
To be fair, it's been much better the last few weeks since I got a new router. I haven't dropped up a podcast once, where you two fuckers have been dropping out like fucking flies.
Yeah.
And to be fair, living in a small town, you go on Just Eat, there's only one thing on Just Eat around where I live. Just one thing.
Is it the co-op meal deal?
No, it's the Indian who are extortionate.
Well, they will be. They can charge what they want.
Yeah, so you have to phone like a fucking barbarian to get a takeaway around here.
On your landlines with the you pull it and it's the circle and it spins round.
But did you forget what a rotary phone was called?
Thank you, a rotary phone. My God. Gee, I knew it was a circle and it spun. That's all I knew. My brain went, you're on your own here, Rob. So, yeah, thanks for that. Anyway, let's talk some news. Just a couple of bits before we head into our first review of the Korakuen show. First of all of the tickets to the Hana Kimura show, See You Again at Korakuen on the 23rd of May, were all sold out within 1 day of going on sale, which is absolutely tremendous. It's, we talked on the last podcast, Chris, about how Stardom booked a show on the same day, and how it was perceived as a shady move by quite a lot of the fan base. And we talked a little bit about that, but, what a positive thing to come out of this. All of the tickets sold within one day. And it's important to continue to raise awareness, because this next piece, which links into it, the Yahoo News in Japan, and this was translated by @SG_OXXT on Twitter. On January the 22nd, Kyoko-san, which is Hannah's mum, filed a 2.94 million yen suit against a man who has continued to anonymously post defamatory messages after Hannah's death. What the fuck is wrong with people, Chris?
To be honest, I think the dude must have just ran out of like shitty, weird things to do and thought, you know what, I'm going to continue to harass a dead woman. It's bad because I said when the show was first announced that I really hope this would just be like an underlying and we can let Hannah rest. But no, apparently some people, because I feel like a lot of the discourse around Hannah since her death has been jumped on by people who didn't actually like watch her, and they just use her as like this straw man to throw up every time something happens that they don't like.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Like it's impossible to talk about because it's just fucking awful. You just end up shouting, and I don't want to bring down this podcast more than I already have. And yeah, it's just awful. Like, because a lot of the time when people criticize behavior like this, they bring up free speech, and it's like, well, yeah, you can say whatever you want, but like if you came up to me and like insulted someone or insulted me or insulted someone I love, like I don't think anyone would really feel unjustified with like me like saying something back or like punching you or something. I wouldn't punch someone, I'm a fucking wuss. But you know what I mean? It's like those people who like go to a black person, say the N-word, and then get really, really surprised when that guy punches him, because it's like, you deserve that. You really fucking deserve that, and it's ridiculous. I don't know how these people can possibly feel about themselves if like all you do is harass a dead person.
I don't know who, in their right mind, can possibly look at the situation around this 22-year-old woman who has had nothing but universal praise from people about how much of a beautiful soul she was. Who takes that situation and thinks, I'm going to harass her mum? And do you know what? You're a cunt. Whoever you are, I don't think for a moment that you listen to this podcast at all, but you are a cunt. You are the scum of the fucking earth. You are an absolute blight on humanity. Fuck off. Because I don't understand how you can possibly do that to someone who is still grieving with this situation hanging over them. I don't understand it. It angers me massively. And, yes, she has filed a 2.94 million yen suit. That's ultimately not going to bring her daughter back. And that's something we need to remember.
Genuinely took me aback you saying cunt there. Like, I say it all the time. You never say.
Yeah, well, there we are. So, on to slightly, other things. I'm not going to say better things. So, Yoshiko, who before the last couple of weeks was the Beyond the Sea champion in Seedling, she's had been forced to vacate the championship due to injury. The tournament, the ensuing tournament was then won by Asuka. Not that Asuka, other Asuka. And I've brought this up only because it was rumoured before the Budokan show that Yoshiko was carrying a bad injury, and we were sort of not warned, but we were told that potentially this could impact the match that she would have with Mayu. And I actually thought, oh, well, she's clearly not injured, because that is still, at this moment, that is my match of the year. And to then hear actually she was carrying a really, really bad injury, she's going to be out for 3 months plus, that just, it heaps even more praise on that match. The fact that she was injured to that extent and still managed to pull out what was an absolutely outstanding match with Mayu. I mean, yeah, fair play. Fair play, Chris.
I mean, I only got 3 3/4 stars from Meltzer, so does it even exist?
That is true, because Meltzer's ratings are the be-all and end-all, aren't they? Because how
Yeah.
dare someone not have the same opinion as me?
Anyway, yeah, it is really impressive. It makes me question whether or not she should have fucking done it, because that would unquestionably like hurt her recovery.
Absolutely.
But it is mightily impressive. It goes back to, you shouldn't let wrestlers decide when they need to take time off, because they just won't.
They just won't know. Absolutely. They're passionate about it, obviously.
Yeah, like literally they just won't until like they're forced to stop. So it's just, I feel like we're talking about a bad injury every week now. There is a bright side to this. It's given Asuka a run with the Seedling title, which is going to be very good. I'm going to take this moment to quickly put over the Beyond the Sea cast. Very good Seedling cast. Go check them out. But Val is a bit too outspoken about how good he is at Mario Kart. Fucking one-on-one me, buddy. But otherwise, yeah, you should go listen to them. They're good because they're very knowledgeable.
Yeah, absolutely. On the Dragon Suplex Network. Go and check them out. Lovely lads. Beyond that, the clown has got gold, Chris. The clown has got gold.
No, this brings a kayfabe conversation, because Great Muta and Keiji Muto.
That is a good point.
Are, of course, different people. Does people seem to think that they're the same person? This person does bear a striking resemblance to Def Yamasan, and we mentioned this when she was fighting for the high-speed belt a couple months ago. But is she Def Yamasan? I doubt it. Like, does she look like a clown? No, she doesn't, Rob. She looks like a serious wrestler.
Okay. I knew you would be a bellend about this, so...
Rude. Rude.
I have got some backup information. So, obviously, we know that Yoniyama and Death Yamasan have both held the High Speed Championship. When Death Yamasan took the High Speed Championship off, I believe, Hazuki, it was acknowledged as her 4th reign with the belt. So they are the same person.
That's an administrative error.
That's an administrative error. Right, okay. I can see I'm not going to get anywhere with this, so I'm going to carry on. Kaori Yoniyama, won the Pure J Openweight Championship on the Pure J Fight Together 2021 show from the 20th of March 2021 against Leon, who I believe has also held the High Speed Championship in Stardom. Leon, yes.
What's the name of my childhood dog?
Okay.
Doesn't look that close to you, there.
It's weird, actually, because Yoniyama was the name of mine. So, yeah, she is the new...
That's cool. You always struck me as more of a cat
coincidence.
You always struck me as somewhat of a cat person, though.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I've always had dogs when I was younger. And then we had 2 Alsatians, lovely dogs. And then we ended up with a stray cat. Somehow, we just ended up with it. You know how sometimes you just end up with a cat. Like a Veruca. You're not entirely sure where it's come from, but
yes, you don't know where it's come from. You can't get rid of it, and you're not allowed to go into the pool with it.
Exactly. I don't know if I've ever tried to get into the swimming pool with a cat, but it's difficult, very, very difficult.
Just once, never again.
But yeah, it's I've been a cat person since. My girlfriend is massively a cat person. We don't own a cat, which is bizarre. But yeah, she's a cat person, and I think they just take a little less looking after.
So you've basically become a cat person through osmosis.
Yes, through necessity.
Through survival.
Exactly.
Otherwise, that stray cat would have murdered you.
You adapt or die. Absolutely.
Like that stray cat did. It's so Rob and thought, this doesn't look like someone who's going to throw me out and then destroy me.
Now, this is my favourite little bit of news, and again, this is courtesy of the amazing Twitter account 12222 _Dragon Moon. That Unagi has announced the name of her frog splash. Now, I'm really excited to share this with you because it is a bloody long name, but the English translation is just outstanding. Just a little side note here, I will continue to call it a frog splash, and you'll see why in a minute. So, the official name of this frog splash, Chris, in Japanese is, get ready for me to butcher it, are you ready? Kuriyore ware washora ni hairu. That is 6 words, okay? That's too many words for a wrestling move.
It's a wrestling move with more.
I mean, her finisher has got, I think her finisher's 4 words long, 5 words long, and it's Defioren something.
She's very clearly a Morrissey fan.
Well, it's all to do with the samurai, which obviously is why she brought the golden pipe to the ring, or she started anyway. It's all to do with her favourite samurai, Keiji Maeda. But the only reason I'm sharing this with you, if you haven't already followed Dragon Moon on Twitter, please go and follow. They do some fantastic translations. But the translation of this is, oh my god, it's, I'm entering war god mode now. That is the greatest move ever. Whenever she hits that frog splash now, I'm like, war gods! Just, what a translation.
I'm entering war god mode now.
I want her to finish a match with that frog splash and then have to try and write it along the bottom of the screen.
If they bring out a shirt with that on it, I'm going to buy it.
Why? Why don't we do it? Do you know what? Keep your eyes peeled on our Teespring store shortly for I'm entering war god mode now shirts.
I swear to God, if he gets shut down for fucking trademark infringement, I'm going to murder you. You know what that reminds me of, weirdly? Is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. There's a Yu-Gi-Oh card called Interplanetary Purpley Thorny Dragon, but it's all one word.
It's called what?
Interplanetary Purpley Thorny Dragon.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Our monsters are named by 3-year-olds.
Great game. I miss Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's so expensive.
I don't understand what a Yu-Gi-Oh is.
It stands for King of Games.
That doesn't help me in the slightest.
It's a card game.
I'd got that, Chris. Do you know what? Let's move on because I'm not actually asked about what Yu-Gi-Oh is. Let's kick on and look at some of these shows then. So we're going to look first at the Korakuen show from the 7th of March. The Stardom Road to Yokohama Dream Cinderella from Korakuen Hall in front of 502 people. The lowest Korakuen gate since the 29th of October, which only drew 472, Chris. I will give you a Chrissy bonus if you can tell me what main evented that Korakuen show.
With the tag belts on the line, what you bitched about at the time.
It was not the tag belts, no. Not on the 29th of October. It was during the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, if that helps. Don't look it up on Cage Match.
4 months. Was it the Goddess of Tag League's final?
It wasn't. It was the white belt match between Julia and Himeka. Only drew 472 people.
Oh, to be fair, that match was meh.
You didn't enjoy that match. I didn't mind it, to be fair. I thought it was okay. But I know we've talked at length about how we shouldn't be using attendances as a barometer, especially at in the current time in Stardom. But do you think that it was anything to do with the card? Because, I mean, we're on the back of, obviously, All-Star Dream Cinderella, this enormous show, which it seems to have put Stardom on the map for quite a lot of wrestling fans. And this has followed it with, one title match on the card. Only 5 matches on the card as well. Do you think that the attendance is indicative of that? Because, we've been getting 700 people. We got 700 people at the year-end climax show. We got 700 people, obviously, for the 10th anniversary show. And I know they're bigger shows inherently, but do you think this is indicative, or do you think this is just another case of, look, it's still during the COVID era, just strike that from the record?
Yeah, it's a case of, they also run Korakuen Hall very regularly, so there's no real urgency to go see them. It's not like we're running it once a month now. We're running it a few times a month. No. And we just had this massive Budokan show, which probably if people were going to go see Stardom this month, they were going to go to that Budokan show. And also, Yokohama's not too far from Tokyo, and Noah had one of their big shows there that day as well.
Yeah,
so
true.
Like, it's just a bunch of factors. Like, there's probably just a tiny bit too much competition.
Yeah, maybe. And from my personal standpoint as well, this is a weak card. You know, and I know we've talked about how Korakuen were always
aren't Korakuens anymore.
Exactly. We've had that conversation, you know, many times. But this was a weak card for me. Probably the weakest Korakuen card that I've seen since, if I'm being honest, probably since I started watching Stardom. I think this is the weakest Korakuen card. So I'm not surprised that the attendance was down. But there we are. So we opened with a match between G.I. Julia and Gokiken Death with...
Like, 5 people on my fucking Twitter made that joke. I'm so sick of it. Although, it did remind me of the Action Man I had as a kid.
Whoa!
I guess Action Man were just G.I. Joes. What?
Right, that was an original joke when I did it. But we had to wait a week for the podcast, okay? It was original when I did it, Chris. Fuck off!
I saw Niagara Driver make the joke first.
Yeah, I think they did. Never mind.
But yeah, it reminded me of. Did you ever have Action Men as a kid?
Yeah, of course I did. I think any lad of a certain age would have had Action Man as a child.
See, I came in like right at the tail end before Action Men like just disappeared. Did you have gangrene? Was gangrene a thing when you were a kid?
As in the disease?
Like, no, the character.
Oh,
you got no gangrene.
Was gangrene a thing? You know, that green pus. Yeah, I think so.
It was great. I got one of them for my birthday one year. It was the highlight of my 5th year of existence. But thing is with Action Man, because like I grew up in weren't especially well off my family. So like we had to like get Action Man from like car boot sales and charity shops, and they never had clothes.
No, always naked.
Never.
Always naked.
It gave me a fucked up sense of what anatomy was. I'm like...
I feel like we've already spent too much time talking about Action Man. But it seems we're on the subject. My favourite one was the ones you could wind the arms back and he used to swim.
No, those were kind of lame because, you know, like you'd ever have to take them to a lake, in which case they'd get taken away.
No, you didn't, Chris. You just put them in the bath. That was all you had to do. You didn't have to take them for the fucking lake, mate.
But it was so fucking lame because they wouldn't go too far. It would just be like, oh, they're going for 2 seconds. And then
but you put them in a fucking lake. What happens if it swims off? What are you going to do? Get into the lake?
It did. I just lost my Action Man that day.
They never swum like the advert either. Never swum like the advert.
Did you have the baddie? Dr. X, I think it was called.
He was indeed called Dr. X.
He had like the arm with the bullets. Got one of them on Christmas, lost the bullets straight away. We went like behind the Christmas tree or something, and just never saw them again. Just what a shame. We should have sold replacements for like £1 for a 5-pack at Woolworths or something. I'd have bought that shit. But I'd have stimulated the hell out of the economy that day.
So yeah, to quote a famous song, Julia got a brand new bag. She's got army boots, khaki trousers, black top hat, glasses, and honestly, she looked fucking badass, Chris.
Yeah, she looked cool. It really put forward her stripping back to the beginning narrative that she wants to go on. Going up against Death is a perfect person to do that with because, you know, rookie. Her song doesn't quite suit her now, though, because she's sort of dressed like this fucking god descending from the heavens. And now looks like that person your mother warned you about in case they sold you drugs. And...
yeah, she does look like someone who's waiting at a bus stop in the shady part of town, doesn't she?
And just in terms of like how she dresses, not in terms of anything else.
Oh yeah.
Like,
it doesn't help that she's got her hands in her pockets and sort of shuffling to the ring as well.
Yeah, like quite frankly, she should just start lighting a cigarette and look at a picture and just look at Tokyo Sports longingly. We're completely in trouble. The match itself was like nothing. Because, you know, it's a death match. As in, like, a Gokugen death match. Anyway, I did like Julia just not putting up with death shit, though.
Yeah, it was a weird disparity in general, because like Julia was obviously very conscious of the fact that she looked different in character. She looked different, and she'd just been humbled by Tam at Budokan, so everyone knew she'd lost. She's back at the start, but that didn't stop her being a dickhead. So it was weird to see her battle with her own.
Because she's just naturally a bit of a prick.
Yeah, exactly. To see her battling with her own humility and basically like, what the fuck is this clown shit? I want to beat the shit out of it. The greatest bit of this match, by an absolute country mile, is Julia pulling the hair back of Gouken Death while she's in like almost the camel clutch, and then Death trying to do the same, and then be freaked out by Julia's bald head and not being able to grab any of the hair. That tickled me far more than it should have done.
Like a confused Pokemon.
It was.
It was like, where's the hair? There's normally hair here. Like has she never met someone with short hair in her whole life?
But it was the fact that the confusion then continued after the match, just after Julia had pinned her, with one of the most horrible looking back suplexes I think I've ever seen, and then pinning her with a foot. Death's just sort of continuing going, the hair, I don't understand. So yeah, very, very strange. But overall, I'm a fan of this iteration of Julia. I think it's a new sort of character that she can do something with. This whole journey of going from the bottom to the top, which, is already apparently fully underway because she's already got a title shot, but we'll get into that in a moment.
Although
she had one match.
I am very much looking forward to the return of Shooter Julia.
Shooter! Oh my god!
I'm gonna fucking miss those promos.
Well, to be honest, there was a moment with Shooter Julia and Mina which proper made me giggle, but we'll get on to that when we get on to the Shinkiba card. Match 2 then saw Konami defeat Lady C at 5 minutes and 21 seconds with the buzzsaw kick. Not a lot really to say about this. Lady C continues to steadily improve, and again, just looks okay, but ultimately just got beaten by Konami. There's not a lot else to say, Chris, really.
Yeah, her presence is definitely there. Her presence is improving. She actually has more of an entrance than just walking out now. She's not sloppy at all. She does the few things that she does fairly well. So, just, go on a Saya route in the 5-star and you should be good on the other end.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if she's not in the 5-star as a pin eater, but then you look at the 5-star from last year, you look at who we're going to have this year, you've really got to put Mina in there. You are probably going to put Unagi in there as well, so you've got to keep Saya Ida in there as well.
They're going to make it 20-person, aren't they? Oh, man.
No, I imagine we'll just not have Lady C in there.
No, you say that, but it's not like they're beyond fucking with the 5-star, because they made it 20 minutes last year, which objectively made it worse.
Well, you look at who was in it last year that isn't going to be in it this year. You've already got Jungle, so say that Unagi takes Jungle's place. Who did Sayarida replace due to injury?
Who did he replace due to injury? I have forgot. Oh, it was Saki. Oh, Saki's going to have to be
Saki
in there.
will be back in there, which is
you
fine.
See what I mean? They're just going to make it a 10-person field. And I'm totally fine with Saki being in there. She's one of my favourite parts of tags nowadays.
Don't forget B. Priestley wasn't in there last year either.
Oh, aye, because she was stuck in...
It was all quarantine and that.
Yeah, quarantine and ting.
There is enough to make it a 20-person tournament.
Yeah, but
without stretching believability.
Yeah, but if they did that, they'd really, 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 really have to just make it 15 minutes again, because, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine if they do make it 20-person, they will make it 15 minutes again, because that's without thinking about people like Natsupoi.
Oh, Natsupoi. Oh, Christ. Stardom really has changed a lot in the last 6 months, hasn't it?
It really has. It's a stacked roster, it really is. So we then had our Artist of Stardom title #1 contendership 3-way elimination match with, and this is where my booking goes completely out the fucking window, the Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Momo, and Sai Kamatani defeating the Donna Del Mondo team of Himika, Maika, and Natsupoi, My Himipoi, and Oida Tai, Natsukatora, Ruaka, and Saki Kashima at 11 minutes and 22 seconds. Chris, anyway. Did you agree with the booking? And
First of all,
yes,
ring
that ring announcement.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Natsupoi's reaction to Azumi being announced as the high-speed champion was absolute gold.
Just hitting her with a stick.
Azumi just creasing as well. It was an entertaining moment.
Like I haven't heard a Japanese crowd going "oh" in such a long time.
I know. It was nice. It was good. What did you think about the result ultimately?
Makes sense because, well, actually, kind of doesn't. Given what happened on one of the later shows, I might have had DDM go over, but hey, it's fine. The artist belt is much like the goddess's belt. It's not booked exceptionally well. It's kind of just booked. So it didn't really matter who'd go through this. Hereditary kind of tied up with Stars right now. So unless Stars was winning the main event, which he didn't, it would make no sense for Hereditary to go through. So that's fine. It would be between DDM and Queen's Quest, and I guess DDM would be both Himiko and Michael will be tied up with the tag belts, and Natsupoi is going to be tied up with the white belts. So it's really the only option, eh?
I still go back to my booking on the previous podcast. If you've got this all-out war, he says in inverted commas, between Hereditary and Stars, yes, the Artist of Stardom Championships aren't the most prestigious championships in the world. It's just something to add to that battle. Obviously, with the result of the main event, which we'll talk about, that's
we tried to add it to the Stars Cosmic Angels battle last year, and it didn't really matter overly. So I don't think the Arts of Stardom belts are really gonna matter, especially since it's like the feud is literally just one of ideal, so the belts don't matter in that sense. So like you might as well just keep the belts away from it so you can give people who aren't involved in that feud something to do.
It's led to a very interesting turn of events in this Oedo Tai and Stars feud, which we'll talk about in a minute. I just thought the way that we spoke about it in the last podcast, it offered quite a few different ways out. You've got Oedo Tai winning here, Stars winning in the main event with Mayu pinning Tam, which means that we've then got that white belt championship match as well, which is a match that everyone wants to see. Gives Tam then further down the line that definitive win over Mayu that she hasn't got. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm not disappointed that Queen's Quest have won it because ultimately, you know, the Artists of Stardom titles are the titles we give the least of a shit about, you know, aside from maybe the future. So I'm not overly bothered. I think Azumi, Momo, and Saya will probably win. I'd be surprised if they didn't. But, overall, this was fine. I thought Saki Kashima was the MVP with 3 really, really quick eliminations, all in the same way. Just Kissy Kasai.
You can't say she's not consistent. She's essentially Toriyano with a wider array of jokes.
She is. That is exactly what it was. And just everyone seemed to fall into the same trap. It's like, stop it! What are you doing?
Have you not learned basic pattern recognition?
You know what she's going to do. But yeah, never mind.
You are a round shape going into a round hole. Stop it. Stop it.
So yeah, Queen's Quest walk away as the number 1 contenders for the Artist of Stardom belts to take on the winner of the main event, which we'll talk about in a moment.
I did like Saya accidentally eliminating Azumi.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that was supposed to happen, but it was a nice story crease. Again, it's nice to see.
Crease, or is Saya just an idiot?
I mean, both are a possibility.
Because she's essentially Jack Evans, who isn't the smartest person.
It was nice for Saya to get the ultimate pin. You know, we didn't want her to just disappear off the face of the earth after what was a very, very good encounter with Utami at Budokan. So it's nice that she's going to be inserted into a title program, you know, even if it is, again, no disrespect, the Artist of Stardom. And it's nice that she got the pinfall as well. I gave that 3 1/4, Chris.
I gave it 3. I enjoyed myself. I've had worse 10 minutes.
I don't ever want to hear about them.
Damn. Okay. Everyone hear it. Okay, I see how it is.
Match 4 then, the semi-main, was a three-way with Bea Priestley defeating Utami Hayashita and Syuri, with Bea getting the pin over Utami at 11 minutes and 6 seconds with the Queen's Landing. For me, this was the best Bea has looked in a long, long time in I say in singles competition. You know what I mean, not a tag setting, Chris.
Yeah, she looks alright, but it's one of like 2 triple threat matches that would have been better served as a tag match. But we've had, because like, it's one of those things where you just see the triple threat and it's like, you just didn't have anywhere else to put these 2, did you? Like, we had Syuri and Utami, it's like, what are we going to do? Shit.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Like, it is literally like, and we say this a lot when it comes to Stardom shows. We're normally just talking about the random B shows. This is a Korakuen show, and it feels like we just pressed random on fucking universe mode. Other than that, the match was fine. The match was good, fast-paced. No one really botched, which is saying something when B's in a match. But that was unnecessarily mean.
It was unnecessarily mean. She's not a botcher, really.
I'm always happy to. I did enjoy like Syuri just pushing B aside like she's nothing. I like it when Syuri is like looking cool because she's cool. Some nice super kicks, leg slaps. Vince wouldn't approve, but yeah, there's not a lot to say. It was just a decent enough triple threat that didn't need to exist. It existed to give B the win over Utami, but better served in a tag match, right?
Yeah, I don't know how much Syuri did in this. I think you're right. I think they just ran out of things to do with people, especially with only putting 5 matches on the card. But I thought Bea looked good here. She was the perfect mix of chicken shit and intelligent. Like, she just bombed out of the ring and let Syuri and Utami tie themselves out, revisiting some of that fantastic chemistry they had in the 5-star on the final day. I think it's good that Bea got the pin over Utami, because if I'm being brutally honest, I don't see Bea walking out of Yokohama with the belt. It was a clean, decisive win. Both women decided they were just going to drop each other on their heads again, with Utami dropping Bea on her head with a German suplex. And then, whenever Bea does the Regal Plex, I flinch. And I don't know why. She doesn't do it particularly badly. I think it's just the way they land round their neck. But never mind. Yeah.
I've just never watched a Jumbo Shrewsbury match.
Yeah, it was a decent enough match. It did what it needed to do. Again, Syuri possibly didn't need to be in there, but that's by the by. B upgrades Utami to the one who sucks most, surpassing Momo in those prestigious ranks. While Utami,
I think we all know when it comes to those lists, the most prestigious one is the tier list that I put up on Twitter last week.
Absolutely.
Which I say a lot of controversial things. That's probably the most controversial thing I've ever posted.
Utami, however, meanwhile promises to shut B's mouth at Yokohama Budokan and says that after that show, she will never say Shopai again. So just to clarify, Chris, the last time we had something like this was Julia telling Torin not to use the chain, and magically she didn't use the chain anymore. So we could be in the final throes of the Shopai gimmick. How do you feel about that?
She's still going to call Momo a loser.
That is true, she probably will.
Like this isn't an official stipulation, and I don't think B's is honourable. That's a weird thing to say because it's a Oeditai. Nothing's honourable.
Shopai on a pole match.
Shopai on a pole. What the fuck would that be? Are you just going to put like? Are you just
going
to steal?
Shopai.
Are you just going to put like Lady C on the fucking pole? Are you just going to steal Red Narita and throw him up there? Like, there's no way. No, they'll never let you book something.
I think I'd be amazing at it, personally. I think it'd be quality. I gave it 3.5, Chris. It was a good match. The women all had good chemistry. It told a decent story, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, 3.5 is a valid score. I'd give it 3.25.
We then move on to the main event, the return of Mina Shirakawa to action, which is nice. The Artist of Stardom Championship match with the Cosmic Angels team, the champions of Mina Shirakawa, Tam Nakano and Unagi Sayaka, defeating the challengers, the Stars team of Mai Iwatani, Saya Ida and Starlight Kid at 20 minutes and 59 seconds when Tam pinned Starlight with the Tiger Suplex. I know you enjoyed this match, and I know that you're gonna talk. Probably you're gonna give it a lot of praise, and I am as well. I thought it was a really solid match, a really enjoyable match. The problem is, this was the match that was potentially supposed to take place in January. And obviously, I know that Mina's broken nose sort of shelved plans, which, cannot be helped by anyone. For me, especially initially, to reignite the Stars and Cosmic Angels feud, it seemed to lack a little bit of the fire to start off with. And it all just seemed a little bit bland. It heated up towards the end, and it was, a very, very good closing sequence. The Starlight and Tam exchanges in particular were absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Something was a little off to start off with. I don't know what it was. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I know there was a couple of timing issues with Mayu and Tam, which obviously we're not used to. I don't know. There was something off. They picked it up, and it was a great close, and it was a match I enjoyed. I also think it was the fact that I think the wrong team won. But that's personal preference.
Controversial.
Well, it's not, is it? We've already talked about why it should have happened that way. But
you talk about why you think it should have happened that way. Someone might have a different opinion. I sound like one of those dicks on Twitter who just drop into a random discussion and go, well, that's your opinion.
You are one of those dicks on Twitter that does that.
No, I'm not. State your own opinion. Just don't be a prick.
So, what did you think of this match, Chris?
I thought it was very good. I've watched it twice now because I forgot to take notes the first time. I forgot to take notes the second time, but I only just watched it, so we're fine. And then I forgot to put it on my match of the year thread 3 times.
Good stuff.
Because when I first watched it, it was the last thing I watched before I went to bed. So I say that the last thing I watched was The Simpsons on Disney Plus because I fell asleep to it. But it's the last thing I watched where I was paying attention that day. And so I was, in my head, I was like, okay, I really like that. I'll put it on my match of the year thread. And in my head, I thought I had, but I must have been very sleep deprived, Robert, because I didn't. And then I watched it today. And I forgot I was going to do it but then we got distracted by thumbnails. But now it's on there. But I really liked it. It had a really nice sense of escalation. They went a lot harder than they had to for this particular match. Like Starlight Kid eating shit on a moonsault, like eating complete shit on a moonsault.
She really did, yeah.
Everyone looked good. Like this is probably the best Unagi's looked since her Julia match.
She looked far more comfortable in this 6-woman setting, definitely, especially in this match.
Mm-hmm. Mina, I was about to say hasn't lost a step, but she normally loses steps, so that would indicate that she wasn't good in this match. She was very good in this match. I'm glad to have her back. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't a back fist. She's learning.
No, there was.
There was? I must have just mentally blocked
However,
it out.
And you'll be glad to know this, even though she did the thigh slap on this, which is just the complete wrong sound, and we've discussed that on many, many occasions, she didn't do it on the next 2 shows. She didn't do the thigh slap, and it was much better for it. Yeah,
just don't do back. Like, either watch Kenta Kobashi tapes or don't do it. Just lay it in there. I want to see Phil's break noses. That's probably not fair given who is. Anyway, there was some timing issues between Mayu and Tam. That was a bit weird, but then Tam and Starlight had incredible chemistry. It was really good at the end where people were just sort of fucking people out the ring. It's like, yeah, I did something. Oh, shit. It just, bodies flying everywhere. It was like watching... have you ever played Minecraft?
I'm really, really intrigued to follow this. So let's say, for argument's sake, yes.
No, just answer the question. But have you? Have you actually?
No. You
haven't? Oh, you must be a bit old. But like you said, like sometimes when I got bored and had Minecraft open, I just set TNT over the place and explode it. That's kind of what the end of this match looked like. It was just carnage everywhere.
Is that it, or?
Yeah, basically, I was banking on you having played Minecraft before.
Sort of ruined your analogy, did it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's weird because like the worst part of this match was probably May, and not that she was bad, just that every time she was in there was a tiny timing issue, mostly with Tam. But otherwise, it was really good. Really, all the See, I don't know because I was going to call them younger talent, but then I realized Mina and Unagi are older than most of the people in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't call them younger talent. But I can't call all four of them rookies because Starlight Kid's in there. She's probably the most tenured person next to Tam and May. So I'm not quite sure. I'm going to say the less tenured talent or were mostly showcased and they all did themselves proud. They made a good account of themselves, which is what you should try and do in these smaller stakes championship matches. It was a tiny bit heatless, but then like escalated perfectly. If this had happened a few months ago, we might be looking at something a bit more special, which is a bit unfortunate. They're probably going to reignite this feud at some point anyway because it hasn't actually officially ended yet. Like, that went to a fucking draw. But, yeah, I loved it. 4 stars.
I thought that talking about how Unagi looked better here, I think that Cosmic Angels as a team looked very solid. You know, we had a lot of triple team offense that seemed very, very smooth. And Unagi was a good part of that. She seems to be adding a little bit now to her arsenal, which has been my huge downside of Unagi recently. But yeah, it was a good match. It was hard hitting. I gave it 3 3/4. I thought it was a decent match for what it did. I think that lack of fire initially hurt it slightly, but I think, like I say, that exchange between Tam and Starlight, I think, was very, very good. Yeah, let's move on then, Chris, to the second show that we're going to look at, the Stardom New Century 2021 in Shinkiba, 13th of March 2021. Shinkiba first ring in front of 145 people. Speaking of returns, this is Hannon's first match of the calendar year, so it's been nice to see her back. Just a couple of results to matches we're not really going to talk about. The 3-way opener ended with Azumi defeating Lady C and Saya Kamatani at 4 minutes and 23 seconds. That was followed by the tag team match with Donna Del Mondo team of Himika and Maika defeating the Stars team of Gokiken Death and the returning Hannon in 7 minutes and 9 seconds. Hannon appearing to have grown about 7 foot in her absence. And then
Have you ever had that? Did you ever have that in school where you went away and then suddenly you come back and someone's a fucking tower?
I don't think you appreciate that I'm a school teacher sometimes, because I've literally had that this week. They've all come back and I'm like, bloody hell.
I keep forgetting that you're a teacher. Because because when you're around me, you like swear more than a teacher normally would because I'm not your student. And then you're like, when I remember, oh yeah, you're a teacher. You're responsible for like molding young minds. Do you ever put over Stardom in your class? Do you ever like find subtle ways to incorporate that? Like you're doing mathematics and it's like, okay, so if Mayu Iwatani holds the belt for 300 days and then Utami Hayashishita holds it for 155 days.
What percentage of the year? What percentage of the year did Mayu Iwatani hold it for?
Yeah.
I might well do that. I might well do that at some point.
If you're gonna do that, I'd do it with like John Cena or something because like it's hard. Maths is hard enough when you're what? How old are the people you teach?
10 and 11.
Oh god, that's an awful age.
Is it? Is it though?
I'm saying that as my experience from an uncle.
Oh, is this a niece that's trying to kill you, or you're convinced was trying to kill you?
Oh, she's still trying to fucking kill me. She's evil.
Mm-hmm.
She's fucking evil. Why does no one believe? Everyone looks at her and there's like, oh, she's cute. No, she's not. She's a fucking little menace.
Speaking of little menaces, 6-woman tag team action. Cosmic Angels, Mina Shirakawa, Tam Nakano, and Unagi versus Donna Del Mondo, Julia Natsupoi, and Syuri ended in Chris's favourite, a time limit draw in 15 minutes. I should just say there's something we missed out of the main event of the previous show was that Mina and Unagi came together to challenge Himika and Maika for the tag belts, the Goddess of Stardom tag belts.
Who won in this match for reasons?
Yeah,
like if this went to a draw and it was literally just setting up the match for next night, I'm fine with that. I'm completely okay with that. What? Like, are you telling me you couldn't have Julia and Natsupoi go over Goku and Death and the Child? Like,
admittedly, Chris, the booking was a little off. Yes, I will grant you that potentially they could have just swapped two of them out. But stop being a negative Nancy.
So, all right, fucking with your toxic positivity.
What do you think of this match?
It was fine. If it was an actual showcase, if it was an actual like showcase match for the night match after, I might have emotions towards it. But as it stands, I don't have any emotions towards it. I'm trying to think of an analogy for Julia that isn't G.I. Julia, so I can have an original take. But otherwise, yeah, I like Shuri's kicks. I like Tam's suplexes. Mina and Unagi are looking better with every match. Natsupoi has her stick. It was all fine.
I thought Natsupoi and Tam's exchanges were really, really good here, and that sort of plays into where we're going to go on the next show. But that, aside from Julia being an absolute dickhead to Mina, bearing in mind it was Julia who broke Mina's nose at the year-end climax, and then is holding her nose between her fingers and then kicking her in the face, just like she did when she broke Mina's nose. Dickhead move, but tremendous.
She should have just done the got your nose bit.
I think that's effectively what she was doing, and then she just scraped her nose across the top rope, which was just what a dick, but it was also amazing. Also, the joy on Natsupoi's face when Donna Del Mondo entered the ring, and Julia did the thing where she puts her knee up so that Natsupoi can sit on it. Natsupoi's face when she realised, oh, Julia's doing it, as though it was like this little bit of acceptance. It was a really heartwarming moment in what was otherwise It was a match that was there.
I'm waiting for a moment like that with Garth. Just a small moment of, yes, I accept you now.
Yeah, the difference is, Chris, Natsupoi is just over 4 foot tall.
Oh, no, I don't want to sit on his knee. That'd be fucking weird.
Garth is a touch over 4 foot tall. You are a bear of a man that stands at 6'2".
I'm not 6'2". I'm shorter than you.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're not.
You're like an eighth of an inch taller than me.
I think it's just because you are like 75% hair.
75% hair? I'm not 75%.
I think it is just because you have so much hair, it just makes you seem taller.
Right, you're just mad that I can grow a better beard than you.
Your beard... I'm not going to rise to it. 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 Someone thought you were homeless on a bench once. That is my response to that.
I mean, yeah, but that was several years ago, and I was very much not dressed my best. I mean,
Were you not dressed in your stereotypical black t-shirt hoodie?
Excuse me. The hoodie I wear most often is blue.
Is this the Captain America one?
No, I don't have a Captain America hoodie. I have a Captain America t-shirt, which I wear with a Captain America snapback. It's great. I'm like pop punk Captain America.
I gave this match 3 stars. It was fine.
It was okay. Yeah, I gave it 2 3/4. I felt next to nothing.
Next match then, semi-main, tag team action. The Oedo Tai team of Bea Priestley and Konami defeating the Queen's Quest team of Momo Watanabe and Utami Hayashishita, with Bea Priestley getting the pinfall over Momo Watanabe, with the Queens landing at 13 minutes and 9 seconds. And fucking hell, Chris, some people on Twitter were not happy about this.
People on Twitter just aren't happy every time Momo loses.
One of the comments that I grabbed, and I apologize, I accidentally screenshot it and didn't actually screenshot your name either, but it was, what the fuck, Momo deserves better. If this doesn't stop, I shall stop watching Stardom, and I don't think I'm the only one. Momo does not deserve this.
In wrestling, my rule is if you get you can't let yourself get annoyed when one person's not winning as much as the rest, because ultimately it's not like Momo's been put in lower spots. Well, compared to what she was, yeah, we've tackled around in the past about why Momo might be slipping down the card a little bit, and it's like TLDR, if you're new here, it's partly because Bushiroad are very aesthetically minded, and they have a very particular type, essentially. Like, you can see it in both New Japan and here. And also, a lot of the people who have debuted recently have Not that Momo doesn't have a personality; she just has a very stoic personality. So just in turns about she's a bit low down, but like she was defending Stardom at Yokohama Budokan, and at their last big show in Osaka, she had a title match. So it's not like she's not doing anything; she's just not as high up the card as she used to be. And you can argue whether that's right or wrong. I wouldn't stop watching. There's like better things to stop watching Stardom over.
Yeah, definitely. And just echoing Chris's sentiment here, she went for the title at what was Stardom's biggest show before Budokan in Osaka in December. She main evented that show with Utami, put on a fantastic match. She then main evented against Syuri at the festival, the Great Fire Festival Eve, or whatever it was called. Main evented that, great match. She then was one of the people going to Seedling to represent Stardom as well with Saya Ida. She then was in a high-profile singles match at Budokan with Nene Takahashi. Now, I haven't called that person out because their opinion is wrong. That's not why I've done this. If you are a massive fan of Momo and just are repeatedly seeing them lose, welcome to being a Newcastle United fan. But no, in all seriousness.
No, but like, she's kind of in like the Tomohiro Ishii position.
Exactly. Someone made a fantastic comparison, Chris. She's Kenta Kobashi.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, really?
No,
but if she gets that, she's going to get that cathartic, that rise, and finally get the championship. Because she is 20. She is 20 years old.
People forget how young this roster is.
Because she's been in the company for what seems like forever. She's 20 years old. And I saw someone I can't remember who it was. It was someone in the Discord, was talking about Starlight Kid in the same way, about how on earth can Unagi and Mina have belts before Starlight Kid? And on one hand, I understand, because Starlight Kid is a very important, tenured, really good member of the roster. But you've got to remember, Starlight, yes, Mina and Unagi have got the Artist of Stardom title belts. Who gives a fuck about the Artist of Stardom title belts? Yes, they went for the Goddess of Stardom titles later on this run of shows. Starlight, in the last couple of weeks, has gone for the white belt, main eventing a Korakuen show in an absolutely stellar match with Julia. She's going for the high-speed belt again. She seems to be some manner of ambassador. She was the host of that thing that her and Mayu did, where they were looking back on Mayu's career. She hosted that. So she's not being buried, or she's just seen as a... Plus, again, like you said, Chris, she's 18. Mina and Unagi are 30 years plus.
It's also a case of, like, because... Okay, so in terms of, like, pure wrestling ability, Momo's better than... Would it be too bold to say that in terms of, like, a pure wrestler, Momo's better than any of the champions right now? Like, she's better than Utami. She's better than... She's better than Tam. She's better than Maika. She's better than, like, etc. She's better than that, like, but like at that point, you're mistaking wrestling for what's it called? A meritocracy? No, is that what it's called? I've completely forgotten the word. I'm annoyed. But like, you're mistaking it for it's definitely not merit. I've forgotten what the fucking word is. But like, you're mistaking wrestling for something where talent always comes first, when like you can just look in like the entirety of wrestling history, and that's definitely not the fucking case.
No,
like that's never been the case. I think that's a problem, because like a lot of people who come on to, especially like Stardom and New Japan, I feel like that's some of the first falling off points after you come off WWE and go over to Japanese wrestling. And I think a lot of people mistake it for because they're not WWE, they're going to push for everyone that I want to see pushed, and that's just not how that works. That's never been how that works. Like, a lot of my favorite wrestlers right now don't get pushed very often. Like, yeah. And that's... I hate saying this, because I understand the frustration, but that's kind of just the nature of the beast. And I understand going... Like, because I say it all the time, like, WWE doesn't deserve Daniel Bryan. But to be fair, I say that for reasons other than his push, because he's getting a title match this weekend. He's getting a title match tonight. Will I watch that? I might have to steal Rob's network and watch that. But... Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think Momo's had a unfair shake at it, and she does well in every opportunity given. If she was frustrated, I wouldn't blame her. If she went somewhere else, I wouldn't blame her, but like I don't think her current predicament, because she's been pushed. She's either been in constant title programs or in high-profile feuds. This is the first time since 5-Star actually, where she hadn't been in some form of a high-profile feud, because she went from 5-Star to B to Itami to Shiri to Nene.
Mm.
It's not like she's booked better than Ishii, because Ishii half the time doesn't have a fucking feud going on.
Yeah, he's just in 6-man tags, isn't he?
Yeah, so it's just now past Budokan where she doesn't really have a ton going on, and like that just happens sometimes. Half this roster goes between tournaments floating.
And I understand the frustration if you are a Momo fan with the whole B thing. B seems to constantly have the upper hand on Momo. Unfortunately, at the moment, they are heating B up because ultimately, and yes, I know this was going on far beyond B's title challenge, but she is going to go over here because she's going for the red belt. She isn't going to pin Utami again. She's only just pinned Utami. I imagine this Shopai thing will eventually have some sort of cathartic sort of climax to it. Maybe not, but ultimately...
I still stand by my theory that it's just B saying shit.
Maybe.
It's the Will Ospreay school of doing things.
I imagine Momo Watanabe at some point will rise to the top. I imagine she has got so much time left. And it's not like she's never had a title. You know, it's not, the Starlight Kid thing, I understand she's never held a singles title in Stardom apart from the future. But Momo held the white belt for 350-something days and defended it the most out of any champion. So she's still there or thereabouts. Yes, it might seem that she's been buried slightly.
I feel like we talk about this every podcast. Like everyone takes a questionable pin at points. Like literally, it was the case. Like if I was booking it, I might have B beat Utami again. Or actually, if I was booking it, I wouldn't have had the triple threat at Korak and found something else for both of them to do, and then have B go over Utami here. But yeah, it's not. Ultimately, I don't think this one pin is indicative of how a Momo's been booked, because she's definitely been on a losing streak. But it's on one hand understandable, on the other hand, I think a title overblown. Used to get it like back when I was really headfirst in WWE. Used to get that with absolutely everyone, even Dolph Ziggler when he was being constantly pushed. People are like, oh, they're holding him down. Like it's probably not half as bad as you think, and I don't know. I don't know what else to say, because we do talk about Momo's push every week. I feel like we talk about it more than half the title matches we talk about.
Right. Well, this match was fine. It did what it needed to do. B Priestley looks incredibly strong heading into Yokohama Cinderella. Let's move on. 6-moment tag team action in the main event of this show. The Oedo team of Natsuko Tora, Ruaka and Saki Kashima defeating the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Saya Iida and Starlight Kid, with Ruaka pinning Saya Iida with what would eventually be called the Freezer Bomb or the Freezer Splash at 16 minutes and 23 seconds. Yes, it's a nod. It's a nod to Nene Takahashi's refrigerator bomb.
Oh, right. See, I was going to ask whether or not it was like the kitchen appliance or the Dragon Ball Z character.
No, it's a nod to Nene Takahashi. This match... This was very, very similar to every other Oedo Tai and Stars 6-woman tag that we've had. But they acknowledged that in the post-match, which I thought was good. And then this would lead on to what was being said on the 14th. It was Ruaka who got the pinfall over Saya Iida, but that was with interference from Saki Kashima giving Saya Iida the gentlest of gentle love taps on the head with the chair. Ruaka would then go on to challenge Saya Iida for the future belt. Chris, what do you make of Ruaka since she turned heel?
My nana used to warn me of the dangers of rock and or roll, and I think, quite frankly, it's visible on the screen. Now, don't let your children listen to rock. I just realized. See, my statement's laughable when as soon as you see like my Discord photo because it's like me in makeup with and you can clearly see like belong. You can tell that I'm a degenerate, but like I just realized half the people watching this won't have seen my Discord photo, so it makes no sense to them. I'm just nipping out the bud because I don't want to be called a Christian fundamentalist again.
Again? Oh no! I remember.
I was on Forrest. For people, I was on one of Forrest Over's streams, and we were laughing about his running joke of Yuji Nagata being a war criminal, and someone accused us of being Trump supporters. Madness. Yeah. Anyway, which is weird because we were very clearly against war crimes, but yeah, this is just your standard stars versus Hereditary. Like, to be fair, for most people coming in on Budokan and we sign up for Stardom mode, I think we had a couple of them in our Discord actually. This will be their first stars versus Hereditary match. So they might have really liked it, but like for us, we've kind of seen this a lot. So there's definitely a feud here going forward. I hope it goes like crazier, like never bring the chain in again, but like light tubes. I'd be into light tubes.
Yeah, of course you would, because that's all you talk about when it's matches like this. It just seems to be your kink at the moment is light tubes.
To be fair, I'm surprised I didn't get chucked up my own Discord earlier with what I said about the faction.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Tell me it's not a good idea. Tell me you wouldn't want to watch that. Tell me you wouldn't want to watch that as a New Japan thing.
I wouldn't honestly, watch that as a New Japan thing.
Because honestly, I want to see if Ishii can bleed, because I think he's just made of stone.
I've seen Ishii bleed. I'm sure I have.
Has he? He must have bled at some point.
He must have done.
If I cut you, will you bleed?
On that terrifying note.
So yeah, there's a quote from Batman vs Superman. That's not a terrifying movie. It's a hilarious movie. Martha.
Overall, I didn't hate this match. It was just a case of it's the same match that we've seen over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. Tora then said to Mayu, look, we've had this match several times. We've beaten you every single time. You're going to have to come up with something better than this. And she gave her until the end of the 14th to come up with a stipulation. So that is where we are headed. The 14th of March show from Shinjuku face 234 people. I'm just going to quickly whip through the first couple of matches, the results. Azumi defeated Lady C in 6 minutes and 22 seconds. The Donna Del Mondo team of G.I. Julia and G.I. Suri as well. I thought that was tremendous. Defeated Stars team of Hanan and Sayurida at 11 minutes and 46 seconds. The Uedatai team of B. Priestley and Konami defeated Queen's Quest team of Momo Watanabe and Saya Kamatani in 13 minutes and 17 seconds, which I'm sure really, really impressed Momo Watanabe fans even more. Anyway, let's move on to the first match we're going to talk about, the 6-woman tag team match. The Uedatai team of Natsuko Tora, Ruwaka and Sakashima defeating the Stars team of Gokukin Death, Mayu Iwatani and Starlight Kid. Again, match was nothing to write home about, very similar to the previous match. However, what we are going to talk about,
because Death was on one side.
Yeah, that is literally the only difference. And the fact that Mayu forgot, and I can't remember if this was the 13th or the 14th, but on one of the nights, Mayu forgot her wristband and therefore had to send Hanan running to the back to go and get it, and she got there just in time for Mayu to throw it into the crowd. So thank God for Hanan. Post-match, Tora turned to Mayu and said, I've given you a day, what have you come up with? And the first thing Mayu said was, we're going to face each other in a sumo showdown, which Tora looked at her and went, have you seen who you're talking to? Can you even lift me? Which really made me giggle.
Bro, do you even lift?
Bro, do you even lift? And then Mayu went, no, okay, fair enough. What about if we did some rope work? To which Tora just went, you're an idiot, basically. No, that's absolutely what? No. So she said... It basically
played out like a Podmania production meeting.
It was very much like if you imagine Mayu was Chris and me as Tora, that was pretty much what happened. So Tora said, thankfully for you, Uedatai have come up with a suggestion. They proffered the idea of a 5-on-5 elimination tag match, which will be on the 4th of the 4th, the Yokohama Cinderella card, with the last one eliminated from the team that loses, they will become part of the other unit. So, for example, if Mayu was the last one to be eliminated on the Stars team and the Stars team lost, then she will be forced to join Oida Tai. What do you think of this stipulation, Chris? Early prediction, who do you see winning and who do you see turning?
Well, it depends on how you want to play it. If you want to play it serious, you could have someone like you could have like Mariluz have to go there and have basically have a Oida Tai abuse her and have her have to fight her way up the faction. That could be interesting. Or have Starlight go forward and she has a black mask. She becomes turns from Tiger Mask to Black Tiger. Or you can have Death go over.
That'd be quite a cool story. I mean, yeah, I think.
No, I know. Have Death go over and she's dresses the same but holds a balloon because she's now Pennywise.
I imagine if Death goes back, she will just become Death Yama-san again. I like the Starlight idea. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe that could be the way that she breaks out of being Starlight Kid and becomes, the Sky Tiger or whatever. She is the next pokey evolution of Starlight Kid.
Evil Light Kid. Dark Light Kid. Moonlight Kid.
Oh, God.
Twilight Kid. She has fans.
No.
I watched Twilight for the first time on my birthday.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Okay, so basically what happened, I obviously couldn't see anyone on my birthday because, hellhole. But, so I was talking to my friend Hannah. She was like, do you want to do something over Zoom for your birthday? I'm like, oh yeah, can we want to have a movie night? She's like, yeah, what do you want to watch? I'm like, you should. I'm like, you can pick. I pick a bad thing just to teach them a lesson. Well, not a bad thing, but something I'll enjoy that they might. So I picked Twilight. We had fun. We talked about what team we'd be on. I'd be Team Jacob. He's much nicer than Edward. Edward's a fucking creep. I wouldn't date Edward. If someone came to me and said, you're my own personal brand of heroin, block, never talk to again.
I will be honest, I've stopped listening.
You sound like my dad.
Whoa! Fucking hell. Jesus. No, I imagine we're not going to have Mayu Tim. We're not going to have Natsukatora go. I mean, we are assuming, of course, there will be a Oida Tai that wins. I imagine it probably will be a Oida Tai that wins.
It's a bit boring if someone from Stars wins, because as soon as someone's in Stars, they're just sort of happy all of a sudden.
Well, I imagine because they are forced to go in, there's going to be some sort of... Imagine if it was Konami that had to come back, and then Jungle comes back and they have to share a unit again. That'd be quite cool.
But then you also have to, have several months of disgruntled Konami.
Which is best Konami? Pissed off and annoyed Konami is best Konami.
Yeah, it's either that or not giving a fuck Konami. But that's good in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, overall match, not really worth talking about. This stipulation, I think, is interesting. I imagine we're going to get a little bit of unit movement anyway, just from something I've seen about the Donna Del Mondo announcement, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. Moving on to the three-way match that semi-mained this show, Natsupoi defeating Tam Nakano and Utami Hayashishita, where she stole the pin from Utami and pinned Tam in 16 minutes and 34 seconds. This was an interesting winner. I think Natsupoi was seen as the pin eater in this match, Chris, when I first saw it.
Well, to be honest, when I first saw it, I was like, so Natsupoi's going for one of the belts then, because why the fuck else would you make this triple threat? That would literally be the only thing this served, because it's basically it's an interesting situation because it's basically a triangle, and whoever pins can go for that belt. But you're not going to have Utami or Tam going for fucking high speed, are you?
No, that is true. That is true.
So, for me, it's almost a foregone conclusion that Natsupoi was going to win, because you don't want either of those, because it's the only way anything's going to get done. Especially since we have Yokohama in, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks on Sunday. 2 weeks today, in fact.
It is Sunday, Rob. I was about to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I thought it was Saturday. That's depressing.
Oh,
Back to work tomorrow.
I remember when I had things to do on Monday. I fucking hate lockdown. So yeah, the match itself is not actually. It's a house show match, basically. They all did like the signature spots to pop the crowd, but otherwise it was nothing to write home about. I like the result. I think it's an interesting result. Could lead to Tam versus Natsupoi is not something I thought of, but now that it's on the table, I'm kind of hype.
Yeah, same. I mean, you sort of take Natsupoi off the table with it being the high-speed champion. But they've got history together. I know that in At-Rest Girls they have history, so it's a nice little story beat. The match itself, I thought was good. It was probably it wasn't quite a match of the year, It wasn't a 3 3/4 star match. I think it was probably between 3 3/4 and 3.5. I think. But all the women got their shit in. At some point, and I can't quite pinpoint where it is, Natsupoi gets knocked loopy, and you can tell she's really, really struggling with a post-match promo. And she was thusly taken off the cards for the 20th and the 21st. But yeah, she pins Tam. She's an opportunistic pinner. She is going for the white belt. And then Starlight Kid sort of intervenes and says that, don't forget you're the high-speed champion, basically. I'll come for the high-speed belt. Natsupoi accepts. But not before Natsupoi had held the high-speed belt up at Tam, and Tam had literally said, I'm okay, thanks. Which, tremendous.
Stop burying divisions, Tam. Jesus.
Absolutely tremendous.
Remember when Okada called the IC belt the silver medal?
To be honest, if you're Tam and you're the white belt champion, the white belt that's just headlined Budokan, would you then want to go for the high-speed belt?
More gold.
More gold. Just become the belt collector, become Austin Aries.
Yeah, well... Then again, didn't Kenny Omega try to do that, and then it's a pandemic, so he can't go anywhere else?
He can have the Impact belt and the AEW belt, that's it.
Because you know what, everyone... Who even is the Impact champion right now? Is it Swan?
It's still Rich Swann, yeah.
He's held on to that shit for a while. And Impact's been, like, trudging along. Finjuice is their tag champions now, that's weird.
What'd you give this match, Chris?
3.
3, fair enough. Let's move on to the main event then, the Goddesses of Stardom title match. The champions, Donna Del Mondo, Himeka and Maika, defeating the challengers, Cosmic Angels, Mina Shirakawa and Unagi Sayaka, with Maika pinning Mina with the Michinoku driver in 18 minutes and 33 seconds. Chris, opinion? Really? That's it?
No, okay. Okay, so this is like they're the worst of each stable. Like in DDM's case, that's not like at all an insult because like Himeka's good, Maika's good. They're just among like Shuri, Natsupoi, and Julia, who are all like fantastic in their selected fields. Like Maika and Himeka are the ones sort of floating in space, not really having their foothold quite as well as those three do. But on the other side, Unagi, she has her fans. I'm convinced she can do the underdog story. I'm not convinced she can do the underdog comeback. And then Mina's grown on me. I'm fine with Mina. But she, fuck the back fist though. And then like this match didn't. If this match was 10 minutes, I'd probably have the same opinion of it I'd have of the tag match at Budokan, where it was good, but the non-champion team clearly had more chemistry together. Whereas here, it's that, but stretched out far too thin. Far too thin. For, like, these four people.
I did think it was interesting that it was Unagi that was the hot tag and not Mina.
Yeah. Unagi's not proven herself as, like, as fiery. She's proven herself as sympathetic. Yeah,
and it wasn't. I I understand why they would do that. You've just had 7 singles matches in a row where she's fighting from underneath. You don't want to then do it again in a tag setting. I still don't see her with enough offense to be the hot tag. But then again, I also don't really see Mina as the hot tag either. I feel both women still need Tam. The match, especially the first half of the match was Micah and Himika just beating the shit out of Mina. 18 minutes was a long time for this match. A long time for what are effectively 3 rookies and Himika. And Himika is still technically a rookie. It's a long time. And I'm not saying this is a bad match. It's not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. All women had their flashes. Micah especially, I think, was the MVP of this match. There was no build to this match. It seemed like a very hastily thrown together match. They'd had no matches against Himika and Micah in the lead-up. And in the lead-up, I mean the one show that preceded this one. Mina and Unagi have not really done anything to warrant getting a Goddess of Stardom title match. And yeah, it was stretched a lot. There was large sections of this match that you could cut out. The closing stretch was good, but then again, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a Stardom match where the closing stretch isn't very good. It was
It was a fine start and a fine ending, but you don't. A lot of people seem to just judge matches on that when the middle can set up so much.
Exactly. I mean, don't forget
I want for terrifying highs, for worrying lows, for creamy middles.
Well, we did have that because don't forget, Unagi did hit the I'm entering War God mode now, so we did have that.
I might offend some of the blue noses who cluck their tongues, roll their eyes, and say, "What's to be done with this Chris O'Brien?"
What? What are you talking about?
I was trying to quote The Simpsons, but I forgot the quote halfway through, and then you interrupted me.
Amazing. Yeah, it was a match that was there. It was a filler defense in almost every single way of the word, unfortunately. I don't think it did a great deal for Mina and Unagi. For me, and I know I'm potentially piling on a little bit, it exposed them for, how far behind Himika and Micah they actually are. But by the by, I gave it 2.5, Chris.
So did I. I gave it 2.25. I didn't actively hate it. Just, it was very, very flawed. Yeah,
it was. And I think the issues in the offense came to the fore quite badly. And you never thought, and I know this doesn't ordinarily affect a match. Like we didn't, for example, know we knew Sai Kamatani wasn't going to come out of Budokan with the belt, but it didn't affect your enjoyment of the match. Here, I knew Mina and Unagi weren't coming out with the belts, and it actually did affect my enjoyment slightly of the match. But I think it's because of all the reasons that I gave beforehand. However, after this, Micah called out the team of Julia and Suri to basically name them the next challengers to the Goddess of Stardom belts, which means that, yes, Julia has managed to work her way up from the bottom of Stardom to a championship opportunity in 3 shows, which is quite impressive.
Start from the bottom, now we're here.
I enjoyed this massively because the match is going to be tremendous, and we've got condescending Julia, which is where my fantasy booking is going to come in when we talk about the Yokohama Cinderella show. Now, Chris, have you got anything else you'd like to say before I read you the cards of the next couple of shows?
Yes, you never said when I took this job, is dental covered?
That's literally how I feel right now. So, anyway, the second part of the road to Yokohama Cinderella at Korakuen is on the 26th of March, and the card is as follows. Sayurida versus Ruaka for the Future of Stardom Championship. 3-way between Natsupoi, Lady C, and Gokiken Death. Hina is returning on the card with a tag team match between Mike and Himeka and Utami and Hina. We've also got Rina's in-ring return, 6-woman tag, Mayu, Starlight Kid and Hanan taking on Natsukatora, Saki Kashima and Rina. Tag team match is the semi-main with Julia and Syuri taking on Konami and B. Priestley. And then in the main event, we've got the Artist of Stardom Championship match, Tam, Mina, and Unagi taking on the number one contenders, Momo, Azumi, and Saya Kamatani. Chris, what do you think of that card?
Solid week card. I know it seems like the weirdest thing to take away from this, but I really liking the look of that future match. That could be good. Honestly, I'm just looking forward to any, because side reader matches, they don't system themselves, do they? They kind of just come and go, and it's like I've had a good time. Very rarely cracks my match of the honest, but like I always watch it and I have a good time, and it's like wrestling's good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it should be an interesting match. I wouldn't be surprised, and I know this is a bold claim. It wouldn't surprise me if Ruaka wins with Oedo Tai interference. I think Ruaka could win.
Are you telling me Ruaka could win a belt designed for people within her demographic?
She's 16. She's 16, mate.
Demographic's the wrong word to use there, but I don't know what other words I could use.
The only thing is, I don't see who else Ida's going to take on. You've got Hina and Rina coming back, which is great. You've got Hanan who's coming back, which is great, but I don't really see them as championship caliber. Even if it is the future, which, I know. But Ruaka with Oedo Tai interference, it's another wrinkle in the Oedo Tai versus Stars story, definitely.
Yes.
So, let's move on then. The 28th of March, got day and night shows in Osaka. The cards are thus. So in the day, we have got Syuri versus Momo versus Lady C. We've got Mayu and Sayurida versus Konami and B. Priestley. During these shows, we have got what is known as the Unit Tournament, which is just a 6-woman tag tournament, basically, with Utami, Azumi, and Saya Kamatani being one team, Unagi, Tam, Mina being another team, Tora, Ruaka, Saki being one team, and then Micah, Himeka, and Julia being one team. That's basically what this is. So we've then got the Unit Tournament first round, which is Cosmic Angels versus Queen's Quest. We've then got the next tournament round 1, which is Julia, Micah, and Himeka versus Natsukatora, Saki, and Ruaka. And then in the main event of the day show, it is Natsupoi versus Starlight Kid for the High Speed Championship. Let's be perfectly honest, Chris, that's the match from this day show, isn't it? Natsupoi versus Starlight Kid. That could be a tremendous match.
That could be very good. That could be very high speed. Well, that's the division, I guess. That was a poorly executed joke. Take 2? No. That could be very good. I'm really looking forward to that. Starlight's been low-key one of the best things about Stardom this year. I say low-key. She's the best Stardom match of the year, but
She has been tremendous this year. I can't believe she's the same performer that she is that, when I first started watching Stardom, she's just come on so much. The night show is as follows. We have got Lady C versus B. Priestley. Starlight Kid versus Momo Watanabe versus Konami, which is a tasty little 3-way.
Momo's going to get pinned, and we're going to have to talk about Momo for 10 minutes.
100% that is going to happen. Syuri and Natsupoi versus Mayu, Iwatani, and Saya Ida in a tag match. And then in the semi-main, we've got the Unit Tournament third place playoff. And in the main event, it is the Unit Tournament finals. Chris, anything that jumps out at you, or would you like me to read you the Yokohama Budokan show from the 4th of April?
Yes.
Right, let's do this then. So, and this is the thing I imagine we're going to talk about for quite a bit. So, the Yokohama Cinderella 2021 show in spring. So, we open with a 3-way, Azumi versus Hina versus Lady C. Match 2, singles match, Momo Watanabe versus Mina Shirakawa. Third match, Unagi Sayaka versus Saya Kamatani. Match 4, we've got the loser joins the enemy elimination tag match. The teams being Mayu Iwatani, Starlight Kid, Sayarida, Goki Death, and Hanan versus Natsuko Tora, Saki Kashima, Konami, Ruaka, and Rina. Match 5 is Tam versus Natsupoi for the Wonder of Stardom title. Match 6 is the World of Stardom Championship match between Utami and B. Unami. And then the main event is the Goddesses of Stardom title match. Maika and Himika versus Julia and Syuri.
Couple of things. The way you said Utami there, it's like a really posh person saying, "You know me." Unami, dear.
Unami, mate.
Unami, dear.
Yeah.
Mad Nami, bruv.
What else?
I like that card, but I'm surprised what the main event is. They're clearly putting stock in Julia. I guess they see... I don't know. They seem to not have faith in Utami as a draw, but also, like, if they didn't have faith in that, why the fuck did we put the belt on her? It's a weird one, isn't it? Because also they're not putting a... It's not like they're giving... Like, no insult to, like, B, Saya, and Micah. Because the 2 title matches this year so far have in some way delivered, and like I have faith in B versus Utami because it's a matchup that happened before, and I liked it then. But like when on paper, these aren't... These don't have the hype a May match would have, and I know that's partly because it's not May, but they're not... Like, after Momo, they've been given a... I don't want to say lower talent, but, like, not... People you don't expect to beat her. Like, her last 3 defenses have felt... on paper, have felt like filler.
Which is fine.
But, no, I don't know. I think you can only get away with 2 fillers on the bounce. I think you can only get away with... Like... Especially when it's for fucking... Like, the white belt I got, the tag belts I don't fucking get. Because I understand, like, DDM are more popular, but at the same time... But, like, when it came to Budokan, Tam versus Julia was the more fulfilling story. It just was. Yeah, the DDM Civil War, not so much.
I'm with you 100%. I mean, I don't think anyone that I've spoken to in regard to the Budokan show back at the start of the month, nobody had issue with the fact the white belt main evented over the red belt.
Mm-hmm. I think the only people who didn't that were like people who were new to Stardom and didn't. And like, but like here, makes no sense. Makes absolutely no fucking sense.
I hate this.
I don't hate.
I hate this for one reason. You made the statement. No, not at all. You made the statement at Budokan that you were putting your faith and your entire premise on the future. By putting Saya Kamatani in that match with Utami, you were putting everything behind the future. And let's not beat around the bush here. Utami is that future as well. How the fuck are you going to have Utami as the future of you if you never let her main event a show? A show of this magnitude. Okay, yes, this isn't Budokan, but that's by the by. The white belt, fine at Budokan. The red belt should be main eventing here, irrelevant of who is in it. Unless you have got them, there is going to be something happening at the end of this end of this tag title match. There just has to be. That is why it's been put in the main event.
I think it's been put in the main event because Julia is one of their bigger draws right now.
But you can't just put Julia in the main event when she isn't the red belt champion. It was fine when she was the white belt champion. This is the tag title belt. This is not what should be main eventing this show. And to me, this is a really underwhelming card.
We've never seemed to care about the tag title belt. Mm-hmm.
Which, yes, I understand that, mind Chris.
I think the card's perfectly good. I like the matchups.
I mean, Tam versus Natsupoi, I think, would be a good match. The loser joins the enemy elimination tag match. Yeah, I think we've got some interesting ways that they can go depending on what they choose as the winner. Utami versus B, I can take a leave. That's nothing against B. I don't think B is winning. I think the tag match is going to be great. I think the tag match is going to be really, really good. It should not be main eventing this show because it sends a completely different message than the one you were sending going into Budokan.
Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like if you really, really, really wanted to push that message, you maybe should have saved it for here or something, and like had Utami go up against someone safe for a Budokan. Like it ended up working out at Budokan,
Exactly.
but I don't know. It's like I don't know where the faith is. Like, there's no point in putting your belt on someone shocking. Like Utami was a little bit shocking. Like it made sense, but it was a little bit shocking. There's no point in say you want what you want about main event Evil. At least he was main eventing.
Exactly.
Utami's much better than main event Evil. By the way, if she was having because people love that. I'm not as mad on it as other people are, but people love that Micah match. That's proof that Utami doesn't need someone above her skill level to put on a satisfying main event.
And B's no slouch.
No, B's no slouch. But like B is like, if I had to go on purely in ring ability, she's definitely below Utami. Like, but it would still be very good. Like it's on because this match has happened, and it happened. It was like 2 years ago. It happened, but it was still very good 2 years ago. I really liked the match they had 2 years ago at the time.
But you've then got Julia, who has said, "I want to start at the very bottom," and she's main eventing Yokohama, which just it makes no sense to the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah, it's almost like they let the wrestlers choose their stories and then just booked the card, ignoring the stories they were telling. They're like, "Oh, have your quaint little stories."
The only thing I can think that is going to happen, if you're trying to elevate the tag titles, great, fine. But this isn't the show to do it.
Don't have a red belt match on the same card, then.
Exactly. I do not understand how this main events over the red belt. The only way I can think that this is main eventing over the red belt, you saw that there was condescending actions from Julia towards Micah, and there's been stuff on Twitter between the two about Julia feeling that Micah's being too arrogant and too basically out there. And the only thing I can think of is that this is going to result in something happening within Donna Del Mondo. That's the only reason that I can think that this would go on last. Because the fact that this match has Julia in it cannot be the reason that this is main eventing. That can't be the reason. It's not the belt. It's not the people in the match. Despite, Julia and Sherry being very, very good. Very, very good. Micah is getting there. Himika getting there. But then this doesn't feel like a main event match to me. Certainly over a red belt match, because ultimately Stardom have eventually got to put Utami on top in one of these big shows. You're not putting the faith in Utami if the only time you're going to put her in a main event match is if her next challenger is someone like Mayu. Because that's basically saying to everyone watching that the only reason the red belt is on is because the person challenging Utami is better than Utami, can drag Utami to a good match, which is bollocks. Because the point you've just made, she had a fantastic... I was one of those people that really, really liked that match with Micah. I thought that match with Micah was tremendous. She had an absolutely barnstorming match against Saya Kamatani. If that didn't show the Stardom officials that actually I can main event with this belt, because not only is she only the semi-main, Chris, she's lost 2 matches in a row.
How did the Micah match draw?
700 and I think it was 721.
That's good for her. That's very good for a Korakuen.
It's one of the best Korakuens they've drawn since... They've drawn 700 a couple of times. Let me just quickly check, because I know Year End drew 700 as well. So just let me quickly check. Events... 10th Anniversary Show drew 713 people. And the Year-End Climax drew 713, which tells me that is a sellout for Korakuen at this point.
I think I said this at the time, but when they put the belt on Utami, seemed to be banking on the fact that Stardom is a big enough name to draw no matter who the champion is, so they can use this time to build Utami, which is great. But it's almost like they've half-assed. It's like, I know some people hate WWE comparisons, but it's like whenever we put the belt on CM Punk and we never put him in the main event. It's like that. It's like, don't put your belt on someone if you're not going to have a main event. Or like, for a pure example, when Riccio was champion, he never felt like the guy. And it's not, and like, to be fair, in Riccio's case, it might more be down be more down to like him and anything else. But like Utami definitely has that star quality that could carry a belt this early on. So I don't know. I honestly don't know why it's not main eventing. Overall, it's one of those things that we're still going to enjoy the show, especially since I'm pretty sure it's on Samurai TV again.
It is.
Bit to be desired. Yeah, but the booking leaves a tiny bit to be desired here, which is a shame because I felt the same going into Budokan.
I can see why people feel a little underwhelmed with this card. It has the potential to be fantastic.
I'm not underwhelmed as such because like this isn't a Budokan. This is basically what a Korakuen show would have been in other times, and this is a perfectly acceptable Korakuen show. But at the same time, that doesn't take away that the booking's not great. Because like I don't know, if you're trying to just don't have the red belt on the show, have her in a special singles match or something. I don't know. Just it's a weird thing. Like because again, I got it at Budokan. I don't get it here.
No, agreed. Right, let's end the podcast there then, Chris. Hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, the idea is that we are going to do one show. The next Korakuen show is the 26th, which is a Friday. We record on the Sunday. At the moment, we're going to keep it as the Sunday, but obviously it does depend completely on Stardom uploads. So if it's going to be a little bit later, which it potentially is, it might be Tuesday the 30th, something like that, before we can get our next podcast out. That podcast will also be our Yokohama Cinderella preview show. The Yokohama Cinderella show is the 4th of April, which is the following Sunday. Fingers crossed me and Chris will be able to watch it live, so we might even be able to do our review that night, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it's going to be as easy to watch it as it was last time. We'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening, guys. We really do appreciate it. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave a review, a 5-star review, subscribe. It really does help us fire up those podcast charts. Go and check out the website, www.podmania.co.uk. You can find us on Twitter at the Stardom Cast. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Chris, where can they find you?
At Chris Loves Piro.
Go
and on
check...
YouTube. Chris O'Brien on YouTube.
Oh,
I have a video about Ring of Honor coming out. No one's going to watch it, but it's probably my best video yet. You should, if you're a fan of me, you should watch it, and then you'll become a fan of Ring of Honor.
If you're a fan of me,
but I have more subs than you. Fuck you.
Yeah, of course. All right. Anyway, until then, guys, we'll speak to you guys again soon.